Hello, this is Paul from AppGraft. In this video, I'm going to tell you a little bit about how software is built. This is often called the software development process, or sometimes the software development life cycle. There are many types of software development processes. This describes and defines a team's approach to building a software product. Some of the most popular processes are the waterfall model, spiral, agile, scrum, and lean, which comes from automotive. In essence, think of it like this. All cars will get you from point A to point B. However, different vehicle types will provide you with varying utility. You wouldn't want to use a sports car to haul a camper, just like you wouldn't want to race a pickup truck, albeit some people do. This example easily translates to the realm of software development. Different projects require varied types of processes. Some approaches are more prescriptive or rigid, such as the waterfall model, and some are more iterative and flexible. First, let's take a quick look at the waterfall model. This is the most basic of prescriptive models. Everything happens sequentially, in a linear cascading top-down fashion, like a waterfall, hence the name. Basic phases are as follows: requirements, design, implementation, testing, and then maintenance. Now let's look at the agile development process. This is what our team uses most often. The agile methodology promotes frequent releases in short development cycles, or iterations, called sprints. The phases don't always have to occur in the same order. The agile methodology values the concept of delivering working software frequently and customer collaboration, especially face-to-face communication with stakeholders. We make heavy use of Kanban lists and storyboards for logging and calculating tasks, bugs, and other work items. Design documentation is produced on an as-needed basis. Additionally, we use the adaptive approach. Milestones are set, but we have a lot of flexibility as to how we achieve them. This allows us to focus on adapting quickly to changing realities with less overhead. The first phase is the planning phase. This is the brainstorming phase. Here we perform requirements analysis, create design documentation, assess potential risks, set milestones, add tasks to the backlog, and review the budget. Planning generally occurs prior to the start of each iteration. This is where we set the scope, or more simply decide what tasks and features will be implemented during the next iteration. Planning is a perpetual process in and of itself. The implementation phase is where we write the code that will make up the bulk of the deliverable product. In this phase, new features are inserted, debugging happens, and changes such as bug fixes or maintenance to existing code is performed. All of these changes are based on backlog item details and other design documentation created within the planning phase. You should keep in mind that the implementation phase is just a small part of the software development lifecycle. Moving on to testing. Although it may sound strange at first, in this phase we write more code that performs tests on the software code that we just wrote. Writing software tests should not be confused with debugging. Software tests unambiguously communicate how things are supposed to work and provide feedback on whether the system works the way it's supposed to. Writing tests early on and concurrently with the deliverable allows us to make changes to your production system in a safer and more confident manner later on down the line. The inclusion of and resources spent on writing software tests should not be thought of as overhead, as including software tests early on in the process lowers long-term costs. At the end of each iteration, we sit down with you to review our progress, discuss any difficulties we face, and entertain new ideas. Performing collaborative reviews helps us reevaluate our priorities and lets us determine whether the project is progressing towards the next milestone. Performing persistent reviews allows us to continuously improve the product design. Based on our joint determination, we'll decide whether the current changes ultimately align with your business needs and goals. When we're ready, we'll deploy the product into production. This could happen after each iteration or at some other predetermined interval. This heavily depends on our strategy and the type of product that we're building. For mobile apps, we'll work with you to get your app certified for inclusion to the App Store. We'll also configure any mobile services required for your app, such as push notifications or social media and user authentication. For web apps and other line of business software, we'll upload the deliverable to the appropriate application server. This could be your hosting service, a cloud provider, or even your own server. We'll also set up any corresponding databases and configure any other protocols and services that integrate with your solution. Contrary to popular belief, computer software does not have an indefinite lifespan. In fact, a software product's lifespan is determinate and will eventually require maintenance due to third-party influence. It's just like any other product in this regard. You'll eventually want to make changes or even small tweaks. At this stage, you'll want to accept customer and stakeholder feedback and work it into the requirements for the next iteration. You'll also want to provide the appropriate instructional materials to end users, such as training aids and troubleshooting guidelines. This is also the point where you'll want to start planning for the future. Okay, so that's our basic process in a nutshell. Thanks for taking the time to see how we build products for our customers. Go to appgraft.com to find out more, fill out a contact request, and then together we can begin the discussion on how we'll build you your next great product.